That's it. Since I took this program seriously, a wholesale miracle has happened in my life. We talk about the spiritual experience as the result of these steps. Spiritual experience has changed my life. I'm a different person sitting here today, and I know this guy, he's a totally different person, and a wholesale miracle can happen to you too. Like, I've been gifted a life beyond my wildest dreams, and I remember when I was living my regular life, I had a lot of money, I had a lot of stuff, I had my $1 million house, I had, cars and boats, and I had all that stuff. And I don't have that stuff today because the substances took it away. My spiritual malady ended up manifesting itself into substances, and I couldn't stop because I'm powerless, and I lost it all. But I needed to lose everything, honestly, so I could find everything. And everything I found was right in here. And I don't care if I ever get that shit back again, because I'm fucking good in here. And if I'm good in here, then everything outside of me is good. And if you could be guaranteed a life beyond your wildest dreams, and maybe you don't have everything that you thought you'd want, but you have peace of mind and you have contentment, and you are just the happiest little camper on earth, and you're humble. Or the other option is you could have the nicest house, the nicest car, the nicest looking partner, and all of these accolades, but you're miserable inside. What would you choose? The funny thing is, most people sit there and scratch their head and go, fuck, the nicest house and the nicest car and the hottest man or woman, fuck, and I'd be miserable? Fuck, that stuff still sounds kind of attractive. But that's the delusion of what we've learned. These are the ideas that we think that are going to make us happy. But really, happiness comes from within. Joy comes within. Happiness is actually fleeting and lost. Happiness comes through things outside of me. Joy and contentment, peace of mind, and these kinds of things come from inside. And that's what working on these ideas, emotions, and attitudes will actually get you. It'll allow you to try something different. All people, our whole world suffers from a spiritual malady. This whole fucking Western society we live in is not based in humility. We're based in self. Everything outside this door is based on self. What can I get? What can I have? What can I drive? How much money can I have? How much money can you have? Come and do this and make this money. Have this stuff. Do all this stuff for you. Very rare do you see anything like a collective based in humility. Because the whole world suffers from a degree of the spiritual malady. And this is the basis of a lot of our sicknesses today. Because we're living in these fucking things within self. And it creates so much anxiety and fear and discontentment. We're living in envy and all of these things. And it creates this thing inside of us that's we're restless, irritable, and discontent. And if you live like this long enough, you're going to create your own fucking sicknesses. You look at all the sicknesses that we have in the world right now. Cause unknown, cause unknown, cause unknown. Fibromyalgia. They're going to treat you on symptoms. They don't fucking know. They give you some drugs. It doesn't fucking work. Anxiety. How many people go to the doctor for anxiety? It's a spiritual sickness. And then as we create all these negative toxins and we keep living there, it creates negative chemicals in our body. Of course we're going to be sick. Because we're spiritually sick. We're living in the world of the material, a bunch of bullshit. And we think that that's reality. And I waste years doing this shit. And now, this line runs through my head. Okay, how long am I going to allow this to take away my life? I don't want to be like this. But I can allow it. And sometimes I do. But a lot of times I say, you know what? Fuck it. We're not doing this today, Bill. You're dropping it and you're practicing forgiveness. You pray for these people and you fucking let this go now. Because it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. All people are emotionally or spiritually sick and frequently wrong. They didn't do anything to you. They did something for you. Now look at yourself and find out, why are you so fucking mad?
What is it within you? Where's it coming from? Then I find it, fuck, cool. And I kind of get a relief out of finding that, because my whole attitude's changed, because I want to grow and I don't want to be like that.
And you got to remember, we forget we're very sick people. And we forget other alcoholics are very sick people. We have a mental illness. It's called alcoholism. It's called drug addiction. But what the illness really is it's a spiritual malady. And the word malady means sickness. And when the spiritual malady is overcome, I straighten out mentally and physically. And that is the truth. And we will focus on the spiritual malady all day long in this program.
Because that's the real problem here. That is the real problem. I'm spiritually sick. And recovery to me is about fucking recovering from a spiritual malady, not from the substance. And when I overcome from the spiritual malady, I don't want to drink anymore. Because I'm okay. I'm okay with me. I don't fight this in here, and then I don't fight you. And then I don't need to fight the bottle.
What are we talking about? The psychic change is the change in my way of living and thinking. And I can't just change the way I live and think without help of a higher power. I have all of these things deeply ingrained in me, and I can't just want to change them. I can want to change it, but they're not going to change. I can have moral and philosophical convictions galore, but I cannot live up to them, even though I would like to. What does that mean? It means I can want to be a better father and a better husband and a better person. I can follow these moral and philosophical ideas. I can read these books where it talks about me being a better person, but I still act the same way. Why can't I change? Well, in my opinion, it's because I need God. And I need willingness. And I need persistent, consistent commitment to change. Men and women drink essentially because they like the effect produced by alcohol. The sensation is so elusive that while they admit it is injurious, they cannot after time differentiate the true from the false. To them, their alcoholic life seems the only normal one. Okay, so what are we talking about? Men and women drink essentially because they like the effect. I love the effect. I love the effect, and the effect actually lit me up for quite a long time. I drink because I like the effect produced by alcohol. The sensation is so elusive, but at some point, drugs and alcohol didn't give me the same effect anymore. And the sensation that I'm looking for is so elusive. I can't find it, but I keep trying to find it because I like the effect produced. But now it's become elusive. And I go trying to find it. And I keep taking drinks, I keep taking drugs, but that feeling, that effect that I used to get, it's now elusive. Although I admit it's injurious, I keep looking for this effect. They cannot, after time, differentiate the true from the false. I can't see the truth that this drink or this drug is always going to do what it does now, because I've crossed the line. I crossed the line from maybe I was a moderate drinker for a while, maybe I was even a heavy drinker where the feeling was not as elusive as often. But now I've crossed the line into real alcoholic addiction, and I am looking for the feeling that I can't find. And I can never cross back on that line.
I have to accept to my deepest core that I'm an alcoholic before I can recover. I have to accept to my deepest core that I have these defects, even though my pride will tell me, no, you don't really have that. Well, let's look at the facts. Let's put the pen to paper. Let's look at the facts. Let's have someone objectively fucking look at it and tell me something different. And if he tells me, no, you have that, and I combat it, fuck, what am I talking about? So it's very important to have acceptance in whatever it is, because acceptance is the key answer to all my problems. But I got to be aware. I got to be willing. And I got to be open. And I got to do it. This program isn't for people that want it or need it. It's for people that do it. So taking this action, this is it. All of these little tiny things as we go through our day, this is the action. And if you have a desire to actually change and you only fucking catch 2 out of 20, you know what? That's okay. The other 18 you missed aren't mistakes. You got to. Now you get up the next day and you go try to do better. And maybe you get 3 out of 20. And maybe the next day you get 1 out of 20. This stuff doesn't change overnight. But I think over the time, you start really fucking gaining some ground here. It's about consistent, persistent commitment to change.
But this disease doesn't discriminate. Doesn't care what race you are, how old you are, doesn't care what you do for a job, doesn't give a shit about anything. And if you are one, then the most important thing is to try to get that deep level concession. And if you get the deep level concession, the second part of the concession is believing that something greater than you can restore you to the sanity. And the sanity I'm talking about at this stage is, I think it's a good idea to pick up a drink. That's fucking insanity. God can restore me to sanity, tell me the truth, show me the truth that I know it's not a good idea. If you're the real alcoholic and you have a lurking notion in the back of your mind, and if you are on here and you know you need to stop, you got to ask yourself, am I here for the right reason? Or am I here because I'm losing my wife or my husband? Am I here because I'm losing my job? Am I here because I'm running out of money? Why are you actually here? And you might know that you got to stop. But is there a lurking notion in the back of your mind? And this is where honesty, rigorous honesty kicks in. If you sit quietly and you really listen to yourself, you can see the bullshit. But the ego and the disease will want to push that to the side, and mentally you can say, yeah, I'm in. But if you listen, you'll know if you're in or not. And if you're not really in, then there's a lurking notion. And if there's a lurking notion, you're in trouble. And if there's a lurking notion and you know you're an alcoholic and you're fucked if you drink, I would suggest praying really, really hard for the willingness for the lurking notion to be gone, that you concede to your innermost self that you will never drink again, because you can't. And you can't just not drink on your own power, because if you would, you wouldn't be here. So if you can't drink again and you know you can't, then you better get that straight and understand the only thing that I've seen work with the hundreds of guys I've worked with is the ones who grab onto this idea, just a belief, willing to believe in a higher power, and work your first set of steps. And then you'll get some concrete higher power-ish working in your life. And then you start staying and digging in and actually follow these directions. And then you won't want to drink again. Well, what's my goal here? I want to stay sober. That's my first goal. I come here with a hopeless condition that I can't put down a drink or drug. I need that to be gone. I need a plan for that. Well, I got a plan for that. What is the real plan I need? I need a design for living. I need a blueprint of how to live my life.
When I really get down and look at the layers of this, I'm going to go, you know what? I'm fucking lying to myself. I'm fucking lying to myself, and then I'm lying to you. But I'm mostly lying to myself. And when we look up the word shame, I want you all to look up the word shame. Shame says dishonoring one's own consciousness. And shame is the underlying thing of all of this. If you dishonor who you truly are, your own consciousness, and then you act out in a way that's dishonorable to them, then you carry the shame. And if you carry enough shame in your life for doing things against what you know is right, you need to drink. You have to fucking drink. You need to blot it out. Because you know deep down it's wrong. The fundamental idea of God is deep down within every man, woman, and child, but it is often obscured by calamity, pomp, and worship of other things. I'm driven by love. My whole life is actually propelled by love. But I don't see that because I'm too busy going after the things that I think are going to make me happy, when really, what really makes me happy? Watching my kids fucking play. Watching my family. Fucking watching the sunset. Watching ducks on a lake. Like fucking stuff like that. That's actually what drives my life. But I'm so busy and focused on all this other shit because that's what I've been told is going to make me happy, but it doesn't ever make me happy. So this is why we start turning this, we start living from the heart and getting out of the fucking mind, because the mind is the creator of all this bullshit. But it's not just our fault. We've learned it. We've been taught it. And it's all around us. But I start living different.
And what I want to highlight about the stories is none of the stories are about quitting drinking. The stories are not about stopping drinking. What the stories are about, they're about how these people made a connection with their higher power. Then in turn, they stopped drinking. And I want to ask you guys to really think about, what are you putting in the alcoholic cycle? Are you putting porn in there? Are you putting relationships in there? Are you putting anger in there? Are you putting self-pity in there? Well, what do you get relief from? But you're still restless, irritable, and discontented. And that is the crux of what we're talking about. That is the spiritual malady. And when the spiritual malady is overcome, we will straighten out mentally and physically. So what we're talking about there, nervousness, anger, worry, depression, jealousy, or the like, ideas, emotions, and attitudes that have been the guiding forces of the lives of these men. These are the things I run my life in on the spiritual malady, and I need something to medicate this shit. And if I don't fucking expose this shit and cast it aside and try something new, I will always run with these things. And my brain says I need relief and I need it now, and boom, I'm fucking drunk and high. Because my brain says I need relief, I succumb to the desire again. I need a working God in my life. I need it. It's not a theory. And unless I can have a psychic change, there is very little hope of my recovery. And what is the psychic change? The psychic change is what we're talking about, these ideas, emotions, and attitudes, my personality, how I live my life, getting cast aside, and then I try something new. And then I start changing. And what am I doing? I'm changing my personality. This changes me as a human being, this work, and relying on this power. And God can relieve us from a hopeless state of mind and body, and He can actually change me from within if I let Him. And He wants me to, but I got to align it with Him. And I'm like a man who's lost his legs. I won't grow new ones. I'm an alcoholic. I won't be an unalcoholic ever. I have a solution here to not drink, but then the solution to not drink actually changes to a new life. I used to have to come here. Now I get to come here. I used to have to go to God because I needed to stop. Now I get to go to God because I want to grow in my life. It's like an amazing, amazing thing. And if you haven't experienced the amazement of God in your life yet, or Creator, or whatever it is, you know what? Keep working, keep sodding, keep seeking. The realm of the Spirit is broad and roomy, all-inclusive, never exclusive or forbidding for those who honestly seek Him. And that's what you want. If you're new to a program and you're going to meetings and you keep judging everything and thinking that's not me, you're going to get kicked out the door with some more judgment and pride, and alcohol and drugs will kick your ass back in here unless it kills you first. Because the reality of this is it's a progressive fatal illness. And if you can open your mind, which is a necessity for this program, you can start listening to the similarities. And it might take a few months, maybe it takes a year. But if you know you're an alcoholic addict, then you got something here. We got something for you. And you can know you're an alcoholic addict all you want. Thousands of people know they are. But they can't stop. Because why? Because they haven't accessed the power. There's a power we need to access. Spiritual means I need to grow my spiritual life. And I have a set of disciplines in this book that take me to that place. I'm actually walking hand in hand with my Creator, and I'm letting Him make these decisions. And it's not like, I wonder what God would want me to do. You fucking know. You know. But the channel has to be clear, and it takes practice. The idea of God is not enough. And it says this concept, the one that God is now my employer, and I actually now work for God. He runs the show. If it's just a concept, then you probably will get drunk. Why? Because you're still running your life. And if you can take this concept and actually implement it as action and do the relinquishment of self and understand self-sacrifice, then God's no longer the theory. It's not a concept. I can have the concept of fucking walking outside into the sunshine or into the night. It's a great concept. But unless I fucking go do it, it's only a fucking idea or concept. Faith alone is insufficient. This idea of faith is insufficient. To be vital, it must be accompanied by self-sacrifice, unselfish, constructive action. The self-sacrifice is really, really important. And it doesn't mean we just donate our time. I have a problem of selfish self-centeredness, and I must learn how to self-sacrifice it. But first, I got to learn how to see it, because you can't see self with self. What better way to self-examine yourself, not only as an alcoholic, but as a human being? The book talks about our real purpose is to fit ourselves to be of maximum service to God and our fellows about us. That's the real purpose. But God uses my greatest deficit, addict, alcoholic, as my greatest benefit. But it's a process.
This is where we get real. This is where we heal. Out there's where I get sick. And I can heal here. Then as I get healed here, this is where my work must be done. This is where my fellow travelers are. Even though my head is up in the clouds with God, I help people here with what we're talking about tonight. Through the development of compassion. And compassion only starts through acts of altruism. And you're only acting through altruism because you want to make this decision for real. The decision becomes real through acts of altruism. And it's only an act. Because altruism in its definition means unselfishly devoting oneself to the welfare, happiness, and well-being of others. As you do the acts of altruism selfishly at first, you get to the place down the road over time where you're actually doing this to benefit other people, and then the gifts are fucking real. And it takes time. It takes that decision practically applied, not the theory. Real life is fucking honesty, integrity, compassion, care, humility. Somewhere where I can fucking speak my truth with no judgment. I can take the masks off. That's real.
And then every now and then you'll get a heartening success that lights up and opens your heart, and it changes you from the inside and out. And then you quit trying to change everything on the outside of you, because the insides are getting changed. And once you're good on the inside, then everything gets good on the outside. I believe in myself. I got good self-confidence today. But where did it come? It comes because we believe more in the power that pulled us back from the gates of death. So my self-confidence is in direct relation with my God reliance. So God reliance will equal self-confidence. And that's how this works.